Everyone, welcome to Escoffier Online. My name is Chef Caesar. Today I'm going to show you how to make a very classic dish, which is eggs Benedict. So we're going to start by really making our clarified butter. What does that mean? Okay, well, butter is made up of three things. Okay, butter fat, milk solids, and water. So we need to start with some unsalted butter. You want to cut it up into 1-inch squares so we can clarify. We need to remove the water and the milk solids. So we do that by cutting it up and putting it over the stovetop at medium heat. There's two ways to do this. One, once you see the butter foaming, it's gonna boil. It's gonna be like really bubbly. So once you let it go for about 5 to 10 minutes, you can remove some of the foam, okay, with a ladle, or you can let it go. Eventually, all the milk solids are gonna go to the bottom because they're heavier than butter. Okay. Also, the water is gonna evaporate, and you want to end up with something very nice, very clear like this, nicely done. So it takes about between 15 to 20 minutes. So you want to be careful not to let it go too long because butter is going to burn and you don't want that. Otherwise, it's going to give like a little burnt taste to your sauce and you want to avoid that. So that's the first step that we need to do. So get your butter ready. Also, once it's done, you can put it in the refrigerator. It's going to solidify again. So don't be surprised when you go open up the cooler next morning. Your butter's going to look like a block like this because it's going to be normal to solidify once it cools down. But once it's ready, you can just melt it again and you can make your sauce. One of the things you also got to watch for, the temperature of the butter should be about 125 degrees when you're making the sauce. Otherwise, if your butter is too hot, the sauce is going to separate. I mean, we're making a Hollandaise sauce, which is one of the 5 mother sauces for this dish. So the next step is to make our sauce. Okay, so what we do here, we need to separate some eggs from the whites. We're only using the egg yolk, and this is very easy to do, but what, controlling the heat is very important when making the sauce. Otherwise, if you're not careful, you can end up with some scrambled eggs. I'm going to show you how to make the sauce over a bain-marie like this. So you want to put a little water, about 2 inches, in the saucepan like this. You don't want to put too much water because if the water is hitting the bottom of the pan, the eggs are going to cook very quick. So you don't want that. You want the water to be down there, so you only want the steam to come up. So we're going to do next too. We're going to start by separating our eggs here. Okay, so we're only going to use the yolks for the sauce. And like I said before, this is one of the 5 mother sauces. And we use this as a base also to make other sauces. A good example is a Béarnaise sauce that we use once our Hollandaise sauce is done. We do a reduction of tarragon and vinegar, and then we add it to our Hollandaise sauce to make what's called Béarnaise sauce. But this is going to be done just with some lemon juice, salt, pepper, little cayenne pepper, and a lot of butter. So we're using about, 4 egg yolks to make our sauce here. And one more thing, this sauce has to be used right away within 4 hours. You cannot put it away in the cooler because once you try to reheat it, it's going to break, it's going to separate. So it's very sensitive to heat. So you definitely also don't want to get it too hot. Actually, the sauce lives in the temperature danger zone between 40 and 140. So you definitely want to keep it about 125. And you need to use it right away. If you don't use it all the sauce, you need to discard whatever's left over. You don't want to get sick. But this is the nature of the sauce is very, very sensitive to heat. So we have our yolks there. Now we're gonna. What's next here? We're gonna add a little vinegar. White vinegar, just a couple drops here. Okay. We're also gonna be adding a little water here. Okay, about 2 tablespoons. We're gonna break down our egg yolks. We need to denature the protein, so we're gonna, whisk it really nice. Maybe a little bit more water, about 2 tablespoons. Okay. Now we're gonna start by making our sauce. Okay, so we're gonna turn our heat on here on our water. Okay. See, I got some steam coming up. Okay. And when you start doing this, try to keep the egg mixture to the bottom of the bowl because the steam comes up through the sides, and the side of the bowl is going to be very hot. So you also want to be careful not the water not to be boiling too much because if it gets too hot, the eggs might scramble, and you don't want that. Once you get to that point, if you scramble the eggs, you got to start over again because otherwise your sauce is going to be very grainy. And you want to keep whisking. Don't stop whisking. And like you see, try to keep the egg mixture in the bottom of the bowl. If you think it's getting too hot, you can also remove the bowl, as you can see, and keep whisking so it cools down. Then you put it back again. And this is the tricky part. To be honest with you, if you can control the heat, this is the key. This is gonna foam a lot at the beginning, as you can see there. But once the egg starts to cook, you want to cook it to a ribbon consistency. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that once it gets, to this stage. Making this sauce is very easy, really. I mean, the key, like I said, is to really not to cook the eggs when you're when you got them over the bain-marie like this. See? And it's kind of hard to control this induction heat. It's better to use gas. You want to kind of keep it a little low. And otherwise, with this one, you got to go up and down. As you can see, it's kind of boiling a lot. But it's okay. As you can see, the egg mixture is starting to get nice and thick. And this is a very quick process, as you can see. You see I'm lifting the bowl because the water is really hot, so. Okay, and put it back again. We're almost there. One of the things you can do also, sometimes this happens, the sauce can break on you when you add in the butter. If you add in the butter too quick, it can separate, but there's a way to fix it. You don't have to throw it away. What you do in that case, you start with a fresh egg yolk, and you want to cook it like this. Whip it up until it's nice and ribbon consistency, and then you add the broken sauce. You add it to the new egg mixture along with some new butter. That's how you fix a broken hollandaise, so you don't have to waste it. It can be saved. So we're almost there. See, it's almost to the ribbon consistency. A little bit more. And what that means, if you lift up your whisk up, the egg is going to drop down in the bowl. It's going to form little soft picks, and then it's going to go flat again. That's what ribbon consistency means, like a sauvignon. Okay, so we're almost there. Okay, look at that. It's beautiful. See that? A little bit more. Otherwise, if you don't thicken up the egg yolks enough, when you add the butter, it's going to be a little bit too runny. So you got to be careful to not to take them out of the heat too soon. So you want to get the egg yolks nice and thick. So when you add the butter, you're now ending up with a very runny sauce. This sauce is going to be nice and smooth. You have a nappy consistency. So when you put it over the eggs, it's just going to float down, and some is going to stay on top of the eggs. Now all the sauce is going to run off. Look at this, we're almost there. Okay. Okay, this is good. Now I'm going to shut the water off here, put it to the side. Keep my butter over here. I'm going to start my water from my poached eggs. Now what I do, I coil this, I get this towel a little bit wet. I make like a little coil like this, so I set my bowl over the top. That way when I'm whisking, it's not like going all over the place. I got my hands free. So at this point, we're gonna start adding the butter very slow, okay? The butter should be warm, about 125 or so. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. So we're gonna start adding the butter, a few drops at a time. And this is the key, you don't wanna add the butter too quick, okay? Because if you do, your sauce can separate, can break. Okay. See that? And I use 4 egg yolks, so I should be using about 10 to 12 ounces of clarified butter. You can also use less egg yolks. If you're using like 3 egg yolks, you need to use about 8 ounces of clarified butter. So if you start with a one, I would usually do a pound. That way, if I have some left over, I can save it and use it later. But you definitely want to start with a little bit more because in order to end up with the right amount of clarified butter, because some of the milk solids are going to go in the trash, the water is going to evaporate, and you now want to have the same amount of clarified butter at the end. See that? It gets nice and thick, so you want to whisk it like this. Look at that. See? And this is very quick to make the sauce. As you can see, it only takes a few minutes once you have everything ready to go. Okay. Another thing you can do also, I'm going to show you another trick here. If your bowl is not too stable on the cutting board or on your table, you can put this towel over the water like this, okay? Like this, so it doesn't get too hot. Then you put your bowl over the top, okay? That way, it's not moving around like so much, okay? See that? And it's gonna keep the sauce from getting cold too quick because you got a little bit of steam on the bottom, but it's not too hot. It's gonna, break the sauce. Okay, now you see the butters, the sauce is getting a little bit too thick because we keep adding butter. And I'm going to show you how to thin it down so you have the right consistency. Look at that. Because the more butter you add, the thicker it gets. So, if it gets like this, I got a little more hot water over here. It's a little warm, so I take about 1 tablespoon, very little. So we add that to the sauce, and that's going to really thin it down. Look at that. See how nice it thins down right away? Be careful not to put too much water, otherwise it gets too runny. Okay. Now, if you think it got a little bit too runny on you, you got more butter. Get a little more butter here, and that's gonna get it nice and thick. So, look at that. See that? It's beautiful. Okay, we almost have the right consistency now. See? Okay, this is nice. Now we're gonna season this with some salt, a little white pepper. Okay. We're also going to add a little bit of lemon juice. A few drops of lemon juice here. And be careful too, because when you add lemon juice, it's going to thin it down too a little bit. So a little acid to balance the flavor. Look at that. There we go. We have a nice sauce ready. You want to taste it? A little more salt. Okay. Also want to add a little bit more water here, just a little bit. There we go. Okay, now at this point we're ready to cook our poached eggs. Now with the eggs too, we gotta be careful because for a poached liquid, you want to be between 160 and 180. So one just little bubbles like this in the bottom of the pot, the pan, it's ready to go. I'm gonna add a little more water there. Okay. So when I drop my eggs in there, they will be. Okay, there we go. Also, we need to add a little bit, some salt here to our water, okay? Okay, that way our eggs are nice and some flavor. Also, you want to add a little vinegar. What vinegar does, when you poach an eggs, it helps to coagulate the whites as soon as they hit the water. So you want to add a couple, tablespoons of vinegar there, okay? Now we're going to break our eggs now, okay? To a little dish like this. Okay, there you go. At this point, I'm also going to put some English muffins here. I'm going to toast them really nice. And then you can make so many different things. I mean, I also got some Canadian bacon here. I'm going to heat up over here. Okay. This is a very classic. But you can also do a lot of different things. And one thing you want to do when you're like poaching eggs, okay, you want to create a little like a little funnel here in the water. So when you drop the eggs in there, the egg whites are going to wrap around the yolks, okay? So you do that. Make sure your water is not too hot. You can also, check it with your thermometer to make sure that it's like between 160, 180. I like to drop the eggs in there a little bit over above, like 170, 175. So that way they start cooking right away. Otherwise, if the water is not to temperature, it's going to take a little longer. And it really doesn't matter whether you cook eggs, a piece of fish, and vegetables. When it comes to the poaching temperature of the liquid, it's always going to be between 160 and 180. Okay. Should use a little bit of dipper pan, but this is going to work. Okay. Okay, you see that? Another one. And sometimes if the egg is kind of spread out too wide, there could be that it's kind of old, but and that's sometimes it happens. But look at it, the eggs are in there, and be careful because the temperature is going to start to climb here. So you don't want to overcook the eggs, okay? So we need to be very careful now here when we're dealing with these eggs. They're very, very gentle. I'm going to use a slider spoon to take them out. So as you can see, the eggs start to cook really nice. And you got to be careful when you take them out. You don't want to pull them out too quick because they can break. So you definitely need to, be really, really careful. And when it comes to making this, eggs Benedict, I also got some portobello mushrooms here that I'm going to be using. You can do a lot of different things. I mean, you don't necessarily have to, go with the just basic, eggs Benedict with English muffin and Canadian bacon. You can do a lot of different things. I mean, I got some beautiful tomatoes here. I'm going to put over my portobello mushrooms, some spinach. Okay. Okay. But the key is to really make the sauce. Okay, the sauce is still really nice. Okay. I'm gonna add one more egg in there too. Okay. Let's put it right here. Look at that. So. I got my bread toasting back here really nice. I'm also going to add a little spinach to my portobello mushrooms here. So you can make a lot of different variations with this with eggs Benedict. You don't necessarily have to make them with the bread, with an English muffin. You can do ham or so many different things. Okay. So we are going to remove this foam that's coming to the top. That way you can see the eggs in there. Okay. As you can see, you can check your eggs every now and then. Look at it, it's still a little runny. So you don't want to make sure if the water starts to like boil, you want to kind of turn it down so it's only at the right temperature. You don't want the water to boil because if it's boiling, it's going to destroy, you know, the egg whites. It's going to really just rip them apart from the yolk. You don't want it. You want the egg yolk to be surrounded with the whites really nice. So this is why you got to be very careful. So I'm gonna get my bread nice and toasted here. So we're gonna shut it off because the water temperature is kind of climbing here. So I got it done. And it's a little hard to control when you use, you know, induction burners or electric stove. It's really a little bit more difficult, but you can do it. So you can see my eggs are nice. See that? You can touch them, nice and runny. You can see the yolks are so soft. So I'm gonna start to plate my eggs here. Got my English muffins here. One in the middle. So I'm gonna do 3. Look at that. I'm also gonna add a little piece of tomato here. Just fresh tomato. Look at that. Make like a little nest so my egg stays in there. Otherwise it's gonna just run out of there. Okay, now we're ready to you want to make sure that you drain the water really nice when you take them out of here. You don't want to put any liquid there in the egg and your bread. Okay, so we set one like this here. Look at that. So nice. Another one here. Then this is the one I put in last. Okay. Now we're ready to top this with our beautiful Hollandaise sauce. Okay, so we're gonna do this now. There's a little ladle here. Look at that. See how nice the sauce kind of floats down? It doesn't just run off. Look at that. That's what you want. And you can use the sauce in so many different dishes. I mean, maybe some asparagus that goes really well over a piece of fish or a fillet. I mean, you can do a lot. So this sauce is very, very tasty. Okay. Look at that. Now I'm going to sprinkle a little paprika here. And I'm going to put a little bit of fruit here. It's a garnish. So as you can see, this is very easy. A lot of people think that making the sauce is really complicated, and it's not. I mean, the key is to control the temperature when you are making the sauce. And as you saw me, it's really easy to do. Just if you think it's getting too warm, lift off the bowl from the pan. That way it cools down, keep whisking, and you put it back on until it gets to a nice ribbon consistency. It's just like a little playing game. You want to turn the temperature down, up, and just really be very careful. I mean, you can do this. To be honest with you, at the beginning my career, I broke a few Hollandaise sauce, but as you can see, once you get practice, it's very simple to do. So again, I want to thank you guys for joining me today, and I will see you in a couple weeks.